So, the interstate system, the definition is the whole system of human interactions. The modern world system is structured politically as an interstate system, a system of competing and allying states. Global interstate system is an organized institution system relations for mutual benefit. Because we all know that the word global means vast or widespread. So in this system, it doesn't mean that there are only few countries involved. Well, in fact, there are many countries involved in this system. And this system, the purpose of this system is to help encourage the growth and the advancement and the enhancement of each country's economy rather. So by this kind of system, our economy has bloomed, and it has reached a peak to where we at right now. And there will be no regulations for this, and other countries will not understand each other because of that. By this system, it enables us to connect to other countries and to trade to other countries when it comes to things and goods, because we all know that the only trading system is the only way that we could interact and connect to other countries, and especially to their culture, adopt their culture as well, and also the things that they have that we never own. Because of it, our technology has been upgraded or enhanced, or let's just say developed by this kind of system. Because of this system, we share our knowledge from each other, from other countries. We share our culture from each other, and from other countries' culture to be shared with us. So because of this, our world become a better place.
So in this slide it means that their owners or shareholders are generally national governments, although other international institutions and other organizations occasionally figure as shareholders. The most prominent IFIs are creation of multiple nations, although some are bilateral financial institutions exist and some of them are technically IFIs. Many of these are multilateral development banks, which is the MDB, and multilateral development banks means that international financial institutions which are chartered by two or more countries for encouraging economic development into poorer nations so that they can improve their economy and help the people in their country. So, World Bank is a family of 5 international organizations that make leveraged loans to developing countries, which are the first one is International Development Association, which is the primary purpose of it is to provide loans to developing countries to reduce inequalities and improves people's lives or conditions and the countries of the economic growth that help peoples to have a better lives. So secondly, the international financial corporations, which helps to provide loans for private sections or developing countries to create markets that open up opportunities for all. This help with the businesses of each country that will also help their economy. Thirdly is the multilateral investment guarantee agency, and this promotes foreign direct investments, which the FDI, into developing countries to help or support their economic growth. It also helps to reduce the poverty and improves people's lives or condition. So the fourth one is the International Center for Settlement of Investment Disputes. The meaning of this is its purpose is an international organizations of investors for investment treaties and law and contracts. And lastly is the International Monetary Fund. Its purpose is to ensure the stability of the international monetary system. It is an organization of 190 countries all working together to foster global monetary cooperation, secure financial stability, facilitate international trade, and promote high employment and sustainable economic growth. And it also helps to reduce poverty around the world.
So good evening, I am Yuri Lamco. My topic is all about the regional financial institution. So other regional financial institution, e.g. European Investment Bank, EAB, export credit agencies of individual country governments such as US Export, XEM, Japan Export Trade Organization, Hermes, Germany. So it means that the European Investment Bank is the European Union Investment Bank is owned by the EU member state. It is one of the largest supranational lenders in the world. So their common goal to reduce global poverty and improves people living conditions and standard to support sustainable economic, social and institutional development, to promote religion cooperation and integration. So all in the primary role of financial institution is to provide liquidity to the economy, permit the higher level of economy activity that would be otherwise be possible. So according to the Brookings Institute, banks accomplish this in three main ways: offering credit, managing market, and pooling risk among consumers.
Good day. So my assigned topic is about history of global market integration in the 20th century. So what is global market integration? In 20th century saw substantial advances in international market integration and the creation of truly world economy. So technological advance was critical in this. The railroad, locomotive, and the marine steam engine revolutionized road transport from 1830s onwards. So he also notes four differences between the current global integration episode and those of past. So what are the four differences? So the four differences is economic, financial, political, social, and technological. But all in all, though his word about countries imposing protectionist measures in response to problems associated with social and political openness is an upbeat assessment of global integration. The physical distance along a great circle from Wasu, Wisconsin to Wuhan, China is fixed at 7,020 miles. So imagine, 7,020 miles. Pwedeng layo ah. Next, economical relevant distance between Wasu and Wuhan may also depends on what trade economic. So magdepende yun na guys if yun sa nila pag-trade. Refer to as with of the borders, which reflect the extra cost of economic exchange imposed by factors such as tariff and non-tariff barriers. So tariff barriers are the tax or duty imposed on the goods which are traded to from abroad on the country, and the non-tariff barriers are the obstacle to international trade other than tariffs. So the trade barriers often protect domestic companies by putting restriction on the movement of goods among nations. So as well as costs arising from difference in language, culture, legal tradition, and political system. Next slide. The shrinking globe. So, what is the shrinking globe? So, based on my study, the shrinking world theory is the concept of how technology impact the world we live in today. Because going back 200 years, people had to walk to their destination as the world seems so big. So nowadays, people can reach their desired destination with a couple of flight, trains, or anything. So, has been a major sources of the powerful waves of worldwide economic integration and increased economic interdependence that we are currently experiencing. The causes and implication of declining economic distance and increased economic integration are, of course, the subject of this conference. Next slide. So, the process of global economic integration has been going on for thousands of years. So, imagine na, thousands of years, dugaya na. And the sources and the consequence of this integration have often borne and less a quantitative resemblance to those associated with the current episode. So, in my remarks today, I will briefly review some past episodes of global economic integration, identify some common themes, and then put forward some ways in which I see the current episode as a similar to and different from the past. So, this voyage of discovery is made possible by advances in European ship. So, technology and navigation include improvement in the compass, in the rudder, and in sail design. The sea lines opened by this voyage facilitate and driving intercontinental trade, although the high cost and the risks associated with long voyage intend to limit trade to our relevant small settled commodities. So, if dako na siya na trading, dangerous yun na kay pwede mo nasakpan mga pirata. And ang ilang gina na mga karga is mga mahalon like sugar, tobacco, spices, tea, silk, and precious metals. So, sa spices pilang daan, mahal na kaya na sa unang panahon. So, global economic integration took another major leap forward during the period between the end of the Napoleonic War in 1815 and the beginning of World War I. International trade again expanded significantly as did cross-border flows of financial capital. So, from the word cross-border flows, so ang cross-border flows refers to the movement or transfer of information between several across country borders. So, for nearly every kind of global or commerce, vendors must maintain a transfer personal and commercial data across borders to keep track of their customer order and product supply. So, nadyan ay proper na pagpadala sa mga supplies para di na ma-scam. So, that's all.
The story of the market integrations and globalizations in the 20th century. Market is where the exchange of goods, and it can be good as services of the economics, and it can take the place buy and sell. So the next is the integrations is a set of affairs that process of involving the attempts to the economy combine and separate the goods and the services of the other economics of countries. So national economic to the being part of regions to be raised our economics industrial. The story of markets. So let's go back at time at the 20th centuries. The first economic change is the agriculture's revolutions. The forming helped societies build to the situations and produce the need lots of people and lead the major development of our countries. Then the maids of settlements, the level of the population's growth being treated by the use of revolutions. The industrial revolutions, it can began working as a way of laborious and becoming works skills. All of them, if the standards were made. So, as a part of partnerships, the owners and people had access the wider variety of goods to the improvements of these equipments. So, countries were able to extend the reach beyond borders and patterns of trade of the traded of the other countries of goods and the services. And the technology because of development in shaping and navigation's way. So the communications used by the story of the 20th centuries of globalizations of is the cost of like was felt as the telegraph, so came from the common use, and it because in the 28th centuries there's no technology can automatically communicate to our partnership, and this time nowadays it can easily find appropriate technology and to be immediately connecting to our economy and the partnerships to each other. The countries in which natural resources and land were relatively abundant for and the periphery. Periphery is made it means the community of the economics standards on how to develop and raise the parts of technologies that can be used. So one of the integrations was rise of called industrial trade and international trade in the 20th century's flows. 19th centuries rather, the flows could not be readily explained by the perspective of Ricardo of the Swedish. A national story is chooses may be critical determinant of the extent of international economic integrations. So this limited economic impact, but however, ultimately the struggles by the different choices. So the globalizations is one of the importance of the market and to be transport the goods and the services of the other countries, especially the needs of the peoples also being part of the economy. Likewise, the other country, it, the goods of the international will be transferred to the any other countries who want to needs and who want to raise the economy to each other, and every part of the economy we must be compile and complete the required.
Perhaps most important, technological advances continue to play an important role in facilitating global integration. For example, dramatic improvements in supply chain management, made possible by advances in communication and computer technologies, have significantly reduced the cost of coordinating production among globally distributed suppliers. Another common feature of the contemporary economic landscape and the experience of the past is the continued broadening of the range of products that are viewed as tradable. The critical role of government policy in supporting, or at least permitting, global economic integration is a third similarity between past and the present. Progress in trade liberalization has continued in recent decades, though not always at a steady pace, as the recent Doha Round negotiation demonstrates. Moreover, the institutional framework supporting global trade Most importantly, the World Trade Organization has expanded and strengthened over time. Regional frameworks and agreements, such as the North American Free Trade Agreement and the European Union Single Market, have also promoted trade. The government restrictions on international capital flows have generally declined, and the soft infrastructure supporting those flows, for example, legal frameworks and accounting rules, have improved in part through international cooperation. Each observer will have his or her own perspective, but to me, there are four differences between the current wave of global economic integration and past episodes seems most important. The first one, the scale and the pace of the current episode is unprecedented. The emergence of China, India, and the former communist bloc countries implies that a greater part of the Earth's population is now engaged, at least potentially, in the global economy. Columbus' voyage to the New World ultimately led to enormous economic change, of course, but the full integration of the new and the old worlds took centuries. In contrast, the economic opening of China, which began in earnest less than 3 decades ago, is proceeding rapidly and, if anything, seems to accelerating. There is the second part. The traditional distinction between the core and the periphery is becoming increasingly less relevant. As the mature industrial economies and the emerging market economies become more integrated and independent. Notably, the 19th century pattern in which the core exported manufactures to the periphery in exchange of commodities no longer holds, as an increasing share of world manufacturing capacity is now found in emerging markets. In the third one, production processes are becoming geographically fragmented to an unprecedented degree. Rather than producing goods in a single process in a single location, firms are increasingly breaking the production process into discrete steps and performing each step in whatever location. It allows them to minimize costs. Although examples like this one illustrate the historical continuity of the process of economic integration, today the geographical extension of production process is far more advanced and persuasive than ever before. As an aside, some interesting economic questions are raised by the fact that in some cases, international production chains are managed almost entirely within a single multinational corporation, and in other, they are built through arm's length transactions among unrelated firms. But the empirical evidences in both cases suggest that the substantial productivity gains can often be achieved through the development of global supply chains. The final item on my list, on the last part, that this is new about the current episode, that international capital markets have become substantially more mature. Although the net capital flows of a century ago, measured relative to global output, are comparable to those of the present growth flows today are much larger. 6. As I noted earlier, the increase in capital flows owes much to capital market liberalization and factors such as the greater standardization of accounting practices, as well as to technological advances. Conclusion: by almost any economically relevant metric, distances have shrunk considerably in recent decades.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, fellow audience. So, I am Dominic Support, and my topic is all about identify the attributes of global corporation. So, first of all, when we say corporation, it means that it's a large multinational companies that are investing in a lot of countries all around the world.
So what are those examples of a large corporation here in the Philippines? So we have SM Investment Corporation, excuse me, and Ayala Corporation, Meralco, and Metrobank, and around the world, international, I mean, there's Nestle and American Express and a lot more. So global, and also global corporation has the ability to make decision on what will happen to our society and economy. So that's how powerful is the corporation. The corporation only has the ability to make our economy boom or make our economy down. Example of now, we are in pandemic, so a lot of big corporation is slowing down or slowing their business because of the pandemic. So it affects us, a Filipino, or our fellow Filipino, because many of our Filipino lost jobs because of the down of economic. So in order to get back our the jobs that are gone, so we need to rely on those big corporations here in the Philippines, because they are the ones that has the ability to make our economic grow again and back on the track. So so who runs a corporation? So corporation is run by a board of directors. So a board of directors is individual people that has different mga mayaman or rich. They are typically run by a board of directors that is comprised of various individuals. So the member may have different interests, which means they have a disagree or certain decisions about the company. So the organizations are motivated to make profit. So that is the number one motivation as a corporation, to make profit. So global corporation is so very powerful. So global corporations are typically large.
Bretton Woods system. So after the World War II, the world needs a new financial system. The gold standard is considered too rigid, but at the same time, economists were worried that the countries will devalue their currency to boost exports. So because of that, in the year 1944, on July 1, the 44 countries sent delegates into a conference that is held in Bretton Woods, New Hampshire. So the purpose of that conference was to create a system which will avoid a World War III and maintain peace. So after the war, the US held 2/3 of the world's gold reserve. After the war was obviously the most influential player, and ultimately all currencies ended up linked to dollar, and the dollar was linked to gold. So Bretton Woods system created two institutions. The first is the International Monetary Fund. It means to ensure the stability of the international monetary system, which is supposed to lend money to the other countries that are in trouble and cannot attract financing from the other sources, and paying money back that they borrow. So the IMF also gives them advice on how to change their internal policies and structure in order to fix the problem that they got. So the second institution is the International Bank for Reconstruction and Development, which is now also called the World Bank and was supposed to help those less developed countries. The World Bank primarily a lending institution that the goal is to end the extreme poverty and lend money to poor countries for the economic development and help country grow. The IBRD would lend money to countries whose economies and system of infrastructure has been ravaged during the World War. But unfortunately, the Bretton Woods didn't survive because the United States kept running deficits to fund various projects, and therefore the amount of dollar in existence keep increasing while the gold reserve of the US keep shrinking as more countries demanded gold exchanges for their dollars. As such, on August 15, 1971, Nixon officially announced the dollars would no longer be converted to gold.